What's the last drug you did?
Actually, I smoked some marijuana before I came up here.
I would have, but I'm all out. That's probably why I'm so nervous.
Sure. You know what? Actually, I chose not to. I was like, well, should I roll a joint up and smoke it when I get there to calm the nerves?
You should have.
But I was worried about like anxiety and like saying just ridiculous shit and forgetting where I was at in any moment.
Exactly. That's the problem.
And that'll happen anyway. I have like terrible memory, so it just like goes in and out. But I think like I don't really think about weed as a drug, even though I totally know what it is to be high. And but the last hardcore drug I did was probably like 4 or 5 years ago. I took some mushrooms. So I mean, I guess that's not hardcore.
I don't know. In a way, I think mushrooms are less severe than marijuana.
Really?
Because like there's no possibility for addiction or dependence.
Sure.
And also how you can't. There's no easy access.
Sure, I agree with that. The dangers of it in that regard. But I think the loss of control, the fact that
You're right.
you visually cannot see what is really going on in reality anymore. I think that's fascinating.
You're a danger to yourself and others.
Fuck yeah.
In a way that couch lock does not.
Yeah, and if you're going into it with like a really bad emotional aspect going on in your life, like if you're not in the right place, it can be horrendous for you. So I don't really drink alcohol either. So weed is really my choice. I mean, I've dabbled in other drugs, I guess, but nothing really stuck.
Well, it was a hell of an answer to the first time that'll be asked at the top of the show. Good job, Brett.
Thank you.
What's the biggest issue facing New Mexico right now?
Oh, I don't know. Money allocation to fund numerous projects to help people.
So the money that the government's spending is not being allocated the way you think it should be.
Or maybe that we don't have any at all. Maybe that's the better response.
Well, yeah, the drop in oil prices really crushed us.
Maybe we don't have the money to even give to the people that need it.
What's the number one program or spending area you would increase?
Oh, I don't know. Probably with homelessness. Yeah. I think that's gotten really bad, especially in Albuquerque.
It's different in Albuquerque. Central Avenue is different.
Whew, yeah. You know, I actually drove up there a couple days ago, was making my way all the way up pretty much from like downtown up to closer to the mountains. And I just never seen it so bad. There's a lot of people just walking around and you know they have nowhere to go.
And it's winter. It's not even like a summer splurge or surge. Yeah.
Sure. And I think maybe they've been lucky that it hasn't been as cold this winter, but it definitely hits you pretty hard. And yeah, it stresses you out a little bit because you don't want that going on in your neighborhood and in your city, but you can't just brush it aside.
And I mean, we're only as strong as our weakest link.
Yeah. And then it just becomes so complicated. You know, you're giving money to somebody and what are they going to do with it? But it's none of your fucking business anyway.
You know, they put up signs on the medians at major intersections in Santa Fe that say, do not support, no panhandling, please support a local charity.
Which is fucking crazy.
They want you to go direct to a charity.
Yeah.
And it's a sign.
Sure.
A government sign that probably cost, I don't know, $500, $1,000 after you count the labor to install. I mean,
right.
Crazy.
So that's tough. And I think working at the rail yards market, like vending down there, I mean, obviously there's little tent pop-ups everywhere. So that's difficult to see because you're trying to cultivate an environment where people want to probably go to buy stuff and feel like they're safe. And I think so that kind of stigma and stuff comes with that. And I think that's number one, though.
I see. Me. You get them out of the rail yard.
No, not get them out.
Well, just during
because when you're down there's a lot of space, right?
There's a lot of space. Yeah.
I don't know what housing looks like for them. I don't know. You know, I'm not that smart or privy to what the solution is, but there has to be something more. I mean, I think I just read today that we throw like 40% of food out before it's even bad in America. So it's just like we can't figure out how to use even 30% of that to feed fucking people who are starving.
I hope the solution is clever design to public housing.
Sure.
I heard on 99% Invisible, they have this wonderful episode about how to make a public housing project that's half finished.
Okay.
So the homeowner, the person who moves in and occupies, can improve and
Okay.
feel a sense of ownership. So it's
Yeah.
got kitchen, toilet, shower, but it's modular.
Sure.
So as you like save up money, you can make your house better.
Okay.
It's got like, it's all set up to have garden fixtures on the outside.
Wow.
So it'd be like a really nice place.
Yeah. I think it always seems nice, but I think we also forget that like people are dealing with mental illness and even just like people like us, like I deal with mental illness. I go to a therapist and I talk to him and I work through things. And so like, I get that maybe even that is a luxury sometimes, but that's also part of the process that a lot of people are just struggling with depression and then that leads into drug addiction.
It's like, can you actually eradicate severe mental illness?
Right.
Maybe not, because it's just like there's a bell curve.
Sure.
And it's the luck of the draw how you're born.
Yeah, I feel like, at some point you're just fucked.
Yeah.
And so what do you do and how do you help? And that's going to be a difficult problem till the end of that person's life. So it's like, how do you work with that? And people don't want to do that. And I totally understand, but you know, what can we do to be better? I always thought like if I could get this art thing off the ground, I would love to like once in a while print off shirts or hoodies, just fucking take them out and like throw them to people and just be like, "Are you fucking
clothe
the homeless?" Absolutely.
Ooh,
like,
a hoodie.
you know, how dope would that be if the artists who are doing well could promote shit like that?
Hoodies is ingenious.
Hey,
I've never heard of.
We'll drop some shirts every once in a while. We'll drop some hoodies. Like
they say
even
socks, toothpaste, deodorant, but a hoodie. I mean, that would be. If I were cold, that would be cherished.
And even if you're like, so your art's on there and you're like getting shamelessly promoted that way,
there is a wrinkle.
Like, hey, you're warming up some people. Hopefully they fucking rock that thing till it's falling off them, you know?
Yeah.
So I hope that like as my art business grows that I can give back to my community because I'm not necessarily in a place to do that just yet. But it is important. And hopefully I can follow through with that one day. Yeah.
If you could change one thing about this podcast, what would it be?
You know, I don't think I'd change anything right now.
It would be on video.
This is fresh. Yeah, you know, this is
I
is
think
the first
all the
time.
lights are in my eyes.
No.
Do you have any lights in your eyes?
No, I'm comfortable.
Yeah, so it's perfect for the guests.
So yeah, no, it's not bad. I mean, maybe when you expand and you have some like face shots going on, but I mean, it's funny. Once the mask mandates went up, I loved it because I'm like, I don't like anyone looking at my fucking face anyway. So it made it easier to have dialogue with people when I was selling art. It was easier to get vulnerable with them, and if they really wanted to like have a quick discussion about like where I'm going with stuff or how I feel about things, it really opened the doors to that. So for me, I'm just like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'll wear that fucking thing.
So you're ready for a face shot if we get a second camera?
I guess.
But you're more comfortable with this one.
Sure.
I would call it like a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
Like a perched raven.
Yeah. Kind of just like overlooking, kind of listening, but yeah.
Well, it's super complex to edit or switch live if I'm also hosting between two camera angles.
Sure.
Which would be the easiest way because then you wouldn't have to do it in the edit. But if you're clipping back and forth in the edit, it's a nightmare. It's not worth it. So we're with one camera angle for now.
I'm excited. I'm always happy to be a part of things that are new for whoever's doing it. Like your project, this is a new aspect of it, and I get to be a part of it.
Awesome.
So that's pretty amazing.
Drop a like for Brett right now. If this video gets to 100 likes, we'll interview you again. How about that?
Hey, I'll
take
the week
it happens.
I'm promoting the shit out of it. So
you're listening to Artists with Brian. I'm Brian here with
Sokwa, aka Brett Kennedy.
Brett Kennedy. Brett is a visual artist and painter. Welcome.
Thank you.
Season 4 of Artists with Brian is brought to you by the short film Guapo.
Haven't seen it.
Sophia is a domineering wife determined to protect her best friend from a dishonest fiancé. But she ruins everything. Free to stream on YouTube March 31st. Subscribe to Fever Dream Films on YouTube now to get in the mix and watch Guapo, the short film, for free. Brett, what's the significance of Sokwa?
You know, I've been telling a lot of people some crazy shit, like just whatever comes to my mind on what it is or means, but it's actually it's a Native American word, and I forget what tribe it comes from. I'm sure we could Google it right now. But it's SOKW, and it means sour. And at the time of trying to figure out what my artist name was going to be, because I didn't want it to be tied to my real name, was just trying to figure it out. And I think in that moment I wasn't making art, and I was bitter because I wasn't fulfilled. I wasn't doing anything for myself. And one night I just like I was probably high, and I was looking for words, and that word popped up. I'm not even sure how they pronounce it. So I was
Who's
like,
they?
The Native Americans who created that word.
Yeah. Do you know what language?
Like I said, I can't remember at the top of my head. This was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I just like, I liked it. I felt sour as fuck in that moment.
Yeah.
So I added an A, so that way I could tell people it's pronounced this way, Sokwa. And I kept like doing it in cursive and trying to figure out a signature for it that night. And I found the one where like the W is kind of interconnected with the K, and it really just worked out. And I had some paintings that I had just finished, and so I like kind of erased my old name on it and put my new one on there. And I looked at it, and it resonated with me.
It is brilliant. Now that I know it means sour.
Yeah.
It's like a better form of salty.
Sokwa, the sour artist, you know.
Yeah. Is that where your inspiration comes from when you're feeling down? And I don't know.
Fuck, too many things that inspire me. Yeah,
too many.
I think a big portion of it is probably working through like childhood trauma, just like childhood abuse and issues with my upbringing. And so I think a lot of that energy gets transferred into the paintings. Not necessarily what they look like. I think it's more just my frustration with some of my life and how it went. And
where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Albuquerque.
Okay.
I mean, I was born in Shiprock, New Mexico.
Shiprock?
But my family moved around for a minute, and then I want to say I must have been like 3 when they landed in Albuquerque, and then I've lived there my whole life. So, but yeah, it's just a process. Like one of the things I like to do is listen to old music from when I was a teenager, and it's so weird. It brings me back to those moments that I'm trying to find solutions to or work through. And in that moment, somehow I'm just painting in that and I'm letting shit escape. And like I said, there's no correlation in terms of like, you know, if I was having a confrontation with my father or something, like that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's just those feelings are coming out. And so like the process, the background, that's more where that energy lies. Because I just like splatter paint. I kind of just create background, let it kind of tell me what's going on. And then if I decide like I'm going to use a character from a movie or a show, then I kind of have a stronger foundation.
Yeah.
If I just maybe see an image in it, like if I see a face working out, maybe I'll take that instead. So it just really depends. But it's all more cathartic, I guess, is.
You mentioned characters. I was surprised that you did Captain America. You've done a Pokemon too.
I do a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah, so
people love that shit.
So there's like spiritual stuff, religious stuff, fruits, geometry,
Native American stuff, digital art.
But you love Captain America. That's why you did it?
No.
Okay. Where did that come from?
Actually, I had just finished reading a version of a Marvel comic. It was like Marvel zombies. So like they were zombified. And it's actually pretty like hilarious to like listen to them banter and then just like go fucking eat people and shit. Like it's so bizarre, like because they still have their powers and shit. So like, you know, Wolverine is still like unable to die, but he's a fucking zombie now, and he has to eat people and shit. Like it's really bizarre. And so I think that's where it kind of came from. And I mean, I probably watched the Avengers movie at some point. I was like, oh, I should just do this for just practice, and then it turns into a little piece and you sell it. But I don't know if I have any like direct affiliation with Captain America. I don't know if that's my superhero. Yeah. Cool.
Let's go to a question from a guest on season 3. Okay. We'll be doing this all season 4. You know, you're laughing because you have a little preview, but this comes from fellow podcaster, Adam Copeland of episode 18, the host of My Shady podcast based here in Santa Fe County.
Okay.
Would it be terrible of me to say, to ask when was a time where they shit their pants or give a poop story?
No, I think that's perfect.
Okay.
We'll end it on that.
Should I give you a clean take on that one?
A clean take? Like, no. It'll be the same answer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, when When did you last shit your pants? Tell me the story of when you last shot your pants.
Yeah, tell me the story of when you last shit your pants.
When I last shit my pants, the last legitimate time, I think I was like 17 or 18. I was out drinking with some friends.
Mm-hmm.
We were being very, very naughty, drinking and driving, which I don't advocate, but I was young and I was stupid and I made a lot of bad choices. But I remember, I think we went to like Taco Bell to eat because we were, we had the stone munchies and we were eating. And I don't know, we were in the parking lot still drinking at some point, and my stomach just started hurting so bad. And like, at some point you're just like, oh, like I just need a fart. Like, and I shit my pants in the parking lot of the Taco Bell on Academy in Montgomery, I think it is, or no, Wyoming. I still remember which one because it's still fucking there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then I had to go into the Taco Bell, like throw my shitty underwear away, fix myself, and then like continue to party.
Really?
Yeah.
The moment where you have to throw your shit away while the company or the party's going on outside. I've had that moment. I had the moment as a kid, but that's a dark moment.
Yeah, it's fucking, it's
like
pretty
criminal.
awful.
It's like,
yeah, and I think what makes it worse is like you're drunk, so it's just like, fuck, you don't even know if you get all the shit or,
oh my god,
it's fucking brutal. So were
you under the radar with your friends or what?
Oh, they knew.
Yeah,
they fucking knew. They like there was no. I don't know. I wear who I am on my sleeve. I don't know why. I mean, plenty of embarrassing shit has happened to me.
But you're doing good. 17. I mean, that was ages ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure Adam will be very happy with that answer. You did good.
Thank you.
Sokwa.
Yes.
You leave free art around Albuquerque.
I do.
This is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you to do that?
Well, I like 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, I met a lady named, and I might be butchering her last name, but it was Stephanie Galloway, I believe. She's a local artist in Albuquerque, and we were following each other on Facebook or Instagram, and she was actually doing the free art. She was doing it, and she would post about people in other cities doing it, and I was like, oh, this is fucking cool. So at that time, I would make little pieces and hide them and shit, and she would share that, and we kind of had this like little community going on. So there was quite a few artists involved for a minute, and there was times where I'd give like paintings away the size of like this door, every once in a while. Like,
for it to work, do you
shit.
have to advertise on Instagram that this painting's been dropped, or would it mean something to you just to do it totally offline?
That wouldn't bother me.
Okay.
Because frankly, not a lot of people tell me they found it. I think in the last like 10 I've done, maybe 2 people have come up and been like, hey, I found your art. So I mean, fuck, like a homeless person could find it and be like,
exactly. Most people finding it aren't on Instagram.
Yeah. And I don't like put anything on there to say like free art, like, and I'm Sokwa, like follow me on Instagram.
You don't even put @_Sokwa on the back.
It's signed and that's it. Like, find it.
It's really cool
because like once I make the art, I don't want to fucking hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even like picture half the shit I make. So it's like when you buy something and I haven't photoed, I haven't shared it, and you buy it at this market from me and you take it home, then like it becomes your responsibility to do whatever the fuck you want with it.
You I can buy a piece of your work that's never been photographed and posted
or printed,
online,
or
printed,
and then like
you're that prolific.
No, but
no,
I feel like I make enough stuff that's interesting enough that people can enjoy that aspect, and then I don't think I've really found the imagery that I really want to just like, this should go on my shirts or this should be my logo. Like I haven't come across that, and I might not ever, maybe.
In terms of an icon that encapsulates your career or your identity.
Exactly. Huh. Yeah, and I think that's where the like digital art's kind of coming up, like, and that's a whole process in itself.
It is.
But that, I think I'm like, I can make those into prints, and I don't feel so much guilt because it's like, well, how else would I share this with somebody in terms of selling it and producing it? So it works. It's like a fine balance. Like I'm trying not to do the same shit as everyone else.
Have you looked into NFTs at all?
I have.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about them. I have no issue like making them and just like throwing them out there, and if I, but I don't know if I don't know. It's just not my realm. Like, certainly if someone wants to do that for me and take a cut and figure that shit out, then like, by all means.
Duly noted. I'm trying to get into NFTs.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by what's called the generative art aspect.
Okay.
So you can make one original and then put in some computer code to
Sure.
vary like colors or patterns on different
Absolutely.
layers.
Yeah, I took a couple electronic arts classes at UNM, and there's portions of it, like there's ideas that I was taught that I think are really fascinating. Like even just, if I use maybe this software to manipulate this image, and then I carried over into this software, like each one might render that thing and push it out in a different resolution, a different like size, and then this one makes it smaller because it doesn't produce it any bigger. Then you take it over to this program and it fucking blows it up huge, but like there's distortion and there's now artifacts on the image. So I like this idea that like I don't have complete control over that. I have to understand the process, and so like I do dive into the information of the files. But like to describe that to someone and be like, imagine like trying to take this file and fuck with it through like 10 different apps or computer software programs, and then there's your final image, and it's just like, well, how'd you even get there? And so like I find that fascinating.
Even before NFT digital art, to me, always felt half man, half machine.
For sure. It's a nice play because I don't have complete control over like how the file gets distorted or it gets manipulated completely, and then like sometimes I'm jumping back from like JPEG to PNG to whatever this kicked it out in, and I had to like convert it in a file converter. So it's like really cool to see this thing kind of move from platform to platform, and then like here's my image. And then like it constrains the project even more, because if I could only get it so big, then I can only print it so big without it really getting distorted. So that I like those limitations, because with painting, I can just do whatever the fuck I want. With that, I do have to like really be conscious of what's going on.
Art is creativity is born out of constraint.
Sure.
I like to rate movies to extremely high budget constraints. Yeah, otherwise you're right. It's way open-ended. It's really hard to find your starting point. Let's see. Let's play a little game.
Okay.
Called 3-Star Yelp Review.
Okay.
We're bringing it back.
All right. I don't think I've heard this one.
Yeah, so it's from season 1, and then Jared Garcia of Hubba Music on episode, I want to say 36.
Just recently, yeah. I caught half of that, so.
I asked him if there's one thing you could change about this podcast, what would it be? He said, bring back 3-Star Yelp Review.
Okay.
So we read a 3-Star Yelp Review for a local business. This is going to be in Santa Fe.
Oof.
But the audience can play along.
Okay.
You're not going to win.
I'm already fucked.
You're not going to win Al Pacino's Serpico, one of my favorite movies on DVD. We've upgraded. The budget has increased. It's no longer VHSs from Savers. It's my favorite movies from Amazon. So, 3-Star Yelp Review. I'll read the review first, and then you have to guess which establishment, venue, art museum, whatever.
Okay.
This one comes from Robin F. out of Santa Fe. Quote, something was off. I had the sampler and the textures, hummus for instance, were not quite right. I intend to go back for a euro so that I can nail down this review. But at least one other member of our party felt the experience and flavors were just meh.
I'm not familiar with any Greek restaurants in Santa Fe. Wasn't Hubbub's restaurant Greek though?
Yeah, so so you're a fan of Artists with Brian. This is great. I thought you might be able to get it.
Okay, yeah.
So
I don't remember the name.
You don't remember the name,
but I do remember him saying that.
So Jared Garcia's restaurant that he owns has over 80 reviews on Yelp. He averages over 4.5-star rating. So this is a very rare review. I just got 2 euros for lunch for me and my girlfriend there last week.
Okay, how was it?
Awesome.
Okay.
I loved Yamas before.
Okay.
Before I even found out Jared owned it.
Okay.
I invited him onto the show as a musician.
And then you found out.
And then when he got here, he told me.
That's really
cool. That was
really
spectacular.
Yeah.
The establishment is Yamas Greek Rotisserie.
Okay.
On Cerritos across from Smith's. If you live in town or you're visiting from Albuquerque, go give them a try. They've got lunch combos now.
Okay.
So you can get a full meal for less than 10.
Right.
One of the other 3-star reviews was like, it's a little pricey for...
I think you said you dropped like 14 or 15 that day.
Yes. Yeah. So some of the 3 stars were complaining about that, but now you can definitely eat there for under $10.
That's awesome.
Brett, what were you like in... Sorry, Sokwa.
Yes.
What were you like in high school?
I was a huge asshole. You know, I played football, so I wouldn't say I was a jock necessarily, but I think because of my status and being pretty prolific, I wasn't very nice to people.
You mean on the field?
No, even in person, like even
Prolific?
friends. Yeah. Oh, yeah. On the field, I was.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
yeah, I had several football scholarship offers. Ended up playing at UNM on a full ride.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I was a real pain in the ass, I think, to people. I was super obnoxious. You know, we were talking about Tom Segura earlier before we started, and I was just like that way to people a lot. Like I didn't fucking care about people's feelings. If I hurt your feelings because I was talking shit, because in my head, like I just thought I'm just fucking having fun. Like what am I doing wrong? And
Yeah.
certainly older Sokwa would not behave that way. But I think that's just part of the culture I was brought up in. I was around a bunch of males, and we were told to just be violent as fuck all the time around each other, you know, playing football, smashing heads. And so like that almost sometimes kind of transfers to your day-to-day life where you're just mean fucking asshole, like because you're always on edge.
What position did you play?
I primarily played defensive tackle, and that's what I got recruited for in college. But when I was in high school, I played both ways. So I played offensive guard, center, and then I would start on defense as a defensive tackle. And then when I got the scholarship to UNM, they offered it as a defensive tackle. And what worked out really nice was, at the time, the coach at La Cueva High School where I went, they were running the same defense as Rocky Long at the time. So he was the coach at UNM. So it worked out really nice because I loved the fucking defense, like the mechanics, the style, the ideology behind it. And so it was an easy transfer for me just to be able to like dial in and be like, I kind of understand how it works, but then just learning the play calling and the signs and everything, which was pretty fast anyway. But
now your goal is just to get a sack. Is that the number one goal of defensive tackle?
Yeah, tackles and sacks. I mean, fuck, like if you can get 50, 60 sacks or tackles in a season, and you can get anywhere from 3 to 10 sacks, like you're a bad motherfucker, you know? And I didn't start at UNM until I was in my 4th year, and I redshirted, so I had 5 years at UNM. So my last 2 years, I got to start, but I played like enough plays my 4 seasons to like letter each year. So it was a good time.
Quite a career. Huh?
Yeah, among all the politics and the bullshit that came with some of the stuff that I was involved with, and like coaching changes at one point, it was a unique experience. I think it would have been better at a like more collegiate school, you know, like a better Division 1 football team.
What division is UNM?
They're Division 1, but I mean,
conference. Is it WAC?
I think they're in the WAC now, because they were the Mountain West when I was there. But I mean, I feel like all those teams just went over to the WAC anyway. For the most part, I think there's a few that are different. I mean, I don't really watch football too much anymore. When I was done playing, I just kind of shut it off. I was done with sports. Mostly just watch like the playoffs, championships of things, soccer, football, boxing, UFC, any of that. Like I'm just more, I want to see the best fucking perform at this point. Like I don't want to watch all the bullshit.
You don't want to watch average football, not even average pro football.
Right. And I don't even really like remember people's names. Like I'm a Green Bay Packer fan, and I couldn't even tell you 5 people's fucking names on that team other than Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. You know. So like those things aren't important to me, but I do like watching the competition. I don't know, because that was a huge part of my life, and so seeing that, like I really get enjoyment out of that. Like when you see 2 teams just like fucking battling, and it's like a tight game up until the 4th quarter, like that's amazing to me. It's something super phenomenal. And even like fighting, like UFC, I love when like it's not overmatched. Like one guy just comes out and beats the shit out of the guy. It's like, I want to see them both beat the shit out of each other, and at the end be like, it was so fucking close. Like we're gonna really have to like dig down and see who landed the most punches, who got the most points from takedowns or whatever. That's like that, and that's super inspiring too for the art, because like then I just have that mentality of like, I'm gonna be the fucking best. I'm gonna like just make every single piece of art I can make and put it out there in the world before I'm dead.
And keep going. Don't be results oriented.
Exactly.
Because it might be the last punch that knocks out your opponent.
I might have already made the best painting I've ever made. So like, fuck it. Like now you just make whatever you want. And if you can do that as an artist, if you can just like stay true to making stuff and creating, even through all the bullshit of your life, like I think that's like a huge importance as an artist.
What advice would you give to that high school self of yours on the football team going around being mean?
I would probably just suggest to be nicer to people. I think be a better networker, you know, because I have a lot of friends now, or I guess I can't say friends because I don't really talk to them, but a lot of just high school friends that I played football with or whatever, they're doing really well in their own avenues in tech and artistry and music. And so it would be nice to reach out to them and be like, hey, like I'd love to like work on something with this, or like pick your brain about this thing. And I had to think back, like, how did I fucking treat this person in high school? So like, do they really feel the need to want to like actually work with me based on prior history? And like I said, I'm just not that person anymore.
But you feel drawn to them. Was it because you guys went through the same battles together? You like, you know them? Well,
yeah, I think that's important. Yeah. Especially with like football stuff, like when you get punished for shit and like the whole team has to do like a punishment run, like there's something about just like knowing everyone's getting punished with you. And so it's not as bad, I guess. And that's, it's like a really fucked up thought, but it's like, if they're all suffering with me, like, fuck it, I can get through this.
Yeah.
So that like brotherhood mentality really got me through a lot of things. But I think, you know, you grow up and people change and politics change, religions change, ideas change. And so I think that also puts like strain amongst my feelings towards reaching out to people, because it's like, maybe I really liked this person when I was in high school and I haven't spoken to him in 10 years, but then you find out they're like a hardcore Trumper and you're like, I don't want to deal with that shit. Like, I don't have an issue with that, but I was like, I don't even want to fucking get into that. Like, I just want to focus on this thing that we're going to work on. But it might be inevitable that our ideologies leak out into it. And so, you know, that's why it's easier to just be solo artists. Just make whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly.
And get advice from other artists the best you can, but try to be as unique as possible.
Yeah.
You know, I think I get a lot of critiques that I have a certain style. Like I haven't seen this out in New Mexico, and like that really just keeps pushing me to like, all right, let's like keep upping the ante. Let's keep pushing this shit and not get stagnant in the process.
What's you say you want to be a solo artist, so you have control and autonomy.
Yes.
If you were going to collaborate to increase the bounty, increase the creativity, what's like the low-hanging fruit or the first step that you see? What type of artist is your dream collaboration? Like right now?
I think it's more just like I want it to be like, when it's juxtaposed to my art, I want it to feel completely different, but somehow like the two worlds have like melted together in a way that makes the image work.
Nice.
And I actually did a collab last year with another artist. Her name's Adi Potty. She's on Instagram. Super talented artist, and she draws these like characters in a specific way, and like, I don't know, it just like, it caught my eye. It's really fascinating. I really like her color schemes a lot. And then even when she builds up scenes like where her characters are in, like, it's just very alive. You feel the story that's being told. And so I asked her just like, hey, you want to do a collab? And so she drew her characters kind of like we made like twins essentially, and then I drew these kind of like crowns on top of their heads with my own style, and like it worked out really well. So I think that's what I look for. Like, is the artist making something that's interesting and like vastly different from what I'm doing? Because even if an artist is doing like minimalist stuff, it's like, okay, cool, like how can we combine the two then? Like, does your minimalist idea sit in the middle of this piece and then I work around it and make it chaotic? Like, I want the art in terms of that to, you know, be fascinating, you know. And so how do you combine those things? But that's what I look for, you know. Is the art different, but is it good? You know, there are plenty of shitty artists out there, and I think it's hard because you're part of a community who's like trying to like uplift everyone and be like, you know, we're all doing it, and you got to work passionately, but it's like some of us just aren't going to be as good as others. And not everyone has that mentality, and that's fine. That you know, it's not for me to say, but I look for artists who I think are really trying to like push the envelope for their own art. And if I feel like it's unique, and I haven't seen it necessarily with other artists, and that's what draws me.
You know, when you see it,
Yeah.
one of the big indicators for me to get people on this show, but also to feel like a kindred spirit, to try to hang out with somebody, see if we can be friends, is if they're prolific.
Sure.
If they're doing it no matter what,
Sure.
then I just have faith in a collaboration,
Right.
in their talent, that they're gonna get better.
Right.
It's like in sports. It's like, who's improving the quickest?
Sure.
That's who you want
Sure.
on your team.
Yeah, and and that's why I reached out to you
Yeah.
about this, because I thought that you had something that could help me elevate my art.
All right. Word.
And I think that's important, because this could also be a staple to help other artists, right? Like, I want to be in podcasting one day, so I want to be able to talk to people about their art, because it's nice to go down those rabbit holes and really understand, like I have a friend, his name's Andy. He owns a company called Mobius Theory in Albuquerque. They're like, him and his wife are artists, and they do separate things. But one of his takes is like a minimalist cat. And he has a pretty deep explanation for it. And I found that super fascinating, because it's like you have this whole thought for this like really basic image. And I love it. Like, I love that. Like, I could look at it and pretty much perceive any fucking thing I want to, but it really does have this like idea, and it's cemented, and he has it, and he can tell it to you over and over again the same way. And so I like that too. You know, if there's a real thoughtful process to it. Because I don't think I'm that way all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is very like sporadic, just like dropping paint to hopefully find something.
Yeah.
There's no like, I'm going to draw a face today. I'm going to draw an animal. I'm going to make a scene. Like, it's not that way for me.
Well, storytelling's got to help with those in-person sales at the like tent markets.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I
So
think
if you can tell a 1 minute story about a piece,
sure.
all of a sudden it means
Absolutely.
a lot more. I mean, on a random level, someone could always just see a piece of work, and it'll mean more than anything you could ever say to them. That's the hope.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that like that's what last year was a lot of, where people would just fucking do like double takes, come back, talk to me, be like, this, I like this. I don't like any of your other art. I like this thing right here. And they buy it. They don't ask me the fucking price. I'm like, all right, it's $50, like whatever. So that, when that happens, I think enough times, like something's fucking working then.
And you don't know which piece is going to be sold that day. You don't know.
No, it's so random.
You're prolific. And then you connect with the needle in the haystack. They find each other walking by.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
And you got to be careful too, because like you're gonna get your feelings hurt. You know, you're gonna sometimes do markets where no one fucking comes and talks to you. No one looks at your art, and you got to remind yourself as an artist that like it's not everyone's fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also like the mood of the day. Maybe every fucking person you saw was in a shitty attitude, and they didn't want to fucking come talk to you and look at your art. But maybe on any other given day when they're in a good mood, they would have came up and said, "Hey, I love this shit." But so I think for artists, it's like you got to be careful. You got to also like check your emotions and accept that like your art is your art.
Yeah.
First and foremost, like you shouldn't be making art to appeal to anybody but yourself.
Exactly.
So
yeah, because odds are it's not going to appeal to anybody.
Right. Because you make something and you're like, this is dog shit.
Yeah.
And you fucking put it out to the sale, and it's the first thing to fucking move. And you're like, okay, you make another one that's similar, fucking doesn't sell for 4 months. Like, so it is hard to tell. And I think you can do things as a brand to like see like people like this image more than that. But again, that's not what I'm trying to do. Like, I'm just trying to make all the art I can before I'm dead. You know, I don't want to
drive.
rely.
Is it a cathartic drive?
I think so.
Like you mentioned catharsis, but is it is that conscious now?
It's like digging a tunnel and not worrying about where the end is.
Ooh.
Like maybe I just get stuck there.
You just need to be digging.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. That's when you know you're an actual artist.
Yeah.
When you failed enough and you come back to the field.
Sure.
Without any expectations, finally.
And I think that's what December was. I sold like a fuck ton of art during a couple of those holiday markets.
Yeah.
Like 3 market days that I had specifically were just like absolutely insane. And I felt fulfilled. Like I was like, I could fucking never do art again and be good with that. Like I sold enough. But then like a week went by And I have a homie in Albuquerque who makes wood canvases for me, and they're really fucking nice. And he had dropped off like an order to me of like 6 fucking massive ones. And I just put on my Instagram, I was like, fuck it. I was like, fuck the break. Like, I'm just going to keep working. I'm just going to keep going. Like, fuck, like trying to let my brain catch up to the process. And so I've just been working diligently still on art. And I think every artist should do that. It doesn't matter. Like, you got to find ways to make your shit. And if you have a fucking talent and you're not doing anything with it, like, shame on you. Because the world is like, needs every fucking artist to make stuff. Because I think it's an important way to communicate with people. You know, certainly for me, it's music a lot of times. Like, I actually really don't like a lot of art. And I think it's because I don't want to feel like I'm like taking stuff from other artists. I don't want to feel like it's in vain of those artists that I like. So I really more try to utilize the podcast, like listening to people talk or music to kind of drive my other intentions as well. Like, I don't want to always be influenced by other people's work.
But you want to be influenced.
Sure.
By thoughts.
Sure. Because I'm a visual artist, because I like that aspect of it, not necessarily like the whole dialogue that comes with it in my own art. I want the image to speak for itself, you know. And if you can do that, then I think you're doing something right, and you should continue that. And that's why I probably do a lot of different art, because I want to communicate in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I've been doing stand-up open mics for 6 months now. Obviously, do the podcast. I'm a screenwriter. And is there anything else? I don't know.
Yeah.
If there is, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, filmmaking.
Okay.
I made Guapo, the short film. That sponsors season 4.
Okay. All right.
Link in description.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like even just those few you've named, like, can open up other doors, right? To other ventures because of the technical skills you get from it. And I'm hoping that I can acquire some of those as I continue to make my art, be able to share my skills with people or help them in their endeavors. You know, someone wants to do a huge ass art project. And they're like, well, what do you think about this? Like, I'd love to give my 2 cents on it. So
way leads to way. That comes from the grandmother of guest 7 on this show, Jeremy Howe from Roswell, New Mexico. And I haven't forgotten it.
Yeah.
It's helped me tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
Start moving. And you'll be amazed.
Sure.
You know, at the breezes you catch and the people that join up, what you learn.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get in motion first and then just stay in motion. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree. And I think taking the break I did before, like, really getting back into it was needed, but I just keep telling myself, like, don't ever do that again. Like, if you're fucking tired of painting, like, figure out another art form then for a minute. But I do like painting, and which is a trip, because I didn't paint very much at UNM. Like, I did a lot of printmaking, a lot of drawing, like pottery, like sculpture, never painted. And then when I graduated, I was just like, I had no facilities to work in anymore. Like, I didn't have the workshop. I didn't have these places that I was utilizing to make my art. And so I was like, well, I'll just start painting for a while. And so I was painting and just kind of off and on forever until COVID happened.
So it was like the track or the football for someone in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. This was your, not sport, but art form that you could do without facilities.
Sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you got recruited as a football player to UNM, did you know you wanted to do an art degree? Or did you?
No.
Like, what'd you major in? Because usually it's like geology
it was art studio.
Okay.
And then I actually graduated early. So I graduated in like 3.5 years. And then because I was on scholarship, they require you to be working towards a major to keep you on. And so I still had 1.5 years essentially to finish up and play. And so they saw that I had taken a bunch of like family study credits. And so they were like, you can get a major or a bachelor's in this family studies degree, which kind of leads into social work and stuff. Yeah. And so I was like, fuck it, whatever. Like, let's do that, because I still want to play and like receive the money I'm getting from UNM, right, to live off of.
You got a stipend.
Yeah.
Okay, so you did get paid to play.
Oh yeah, it was a full ride scholarship. So I was taken care of pretty well.
Yeah.
And so so I did that, and at the end of college, I was volunteering at the Family Advocacy Center in Albuquerque. And when I graduated, I was looking for a job, and they needed a data entry person to like do their intakes, do some of their billing. And so I got in that way, and I did some social work for like 2.5 years, got burnt out. And then I was like, I'm going to sell my art. And so I was actually part of the initial rail yards market in Albuquerque, like when they opened it like 7 years ago. Wow. So that whole year I tried to hustle my art. I did a terrible fucking job at it.
Yeah.
And then kind of was just a wash for a minute.
Way leads to way.
Yeah. And I went by a different artist name then. I used to be called Uzumari. The Great Bear.
The Great Bear.
Yeah, another native word that I'm stealing, appropriating, even though I'm half Native American. So, but yeah, that one fit for a good while. I thought it was appropriate, and then
it's longer though.
Yeah,
corn and jizz. I've learned, like all my movie titles are 1 word or 2 words now.
Yeah. I think that Sokwa works. Yeah. Like even bands, right? Like if they're like phrases, it doesn't just jive as well. I think.
It's harder, yeah.
So I think the Sokwa one really kind of hit the nail on the head with what I want, I think. And it's funny to hear people call me that now. You know, I mean, even without asking, like they're just like, it's Sokwa.
Has it taken on another meaning since it's brought so much prosperity to your life?
No,
sour?
I think it's still the sour artist. No, it's still the emptying of my previous life, I think. And, you know, and I certainly make art when I'm in a good moods, right? But I don't think it's as efficient or it's as meaningful. It feels like, I'm just using like old tropes from other things I made to make this thing. So, which is fine. You know, I think you can find things in your old paintings and say that little thing you did here with that color works well with this one. So I try to utilize that too. But no, I always just wanted to be fresh. Like I wanted to feel like every single time you see me, you're like, man, you have new fucking art and it's good. You know, I saw your show at this bar, you know, where you had like 10 paintings and it was fucking awesome. Like, but it was vastly different from like your pop market hustles. Like, so every time people see shit, I want them to feel like, man, he's still making moves. He's still changing and he's still evolving, you know, and it's not like most art is good and great. And then like, there's a few amazing scattered in there. And eventually I just wanted to be like, I'm doing amazing all the time. And then sometimes good and bad and shitty happen. Yeah. So I'm getting there and I think I'm finding my stride.
I wanted to say you are quite an NCAA athlete success story. How do you feel about the NCAA? Because that's been in the news over the last several years. Like, is it a fair trade?
You know, I'll tell you, if you ever want to do a podcast about my life as an NCAA football player, I do have, I think, a good amount of just shit to say about it. You know, I was in college prior to where like now players can sell their likenesses and stuff. And I was even part of a lawsuit against the NCAA where like they were saying they didn't pay us enough money during our tenure there. And so, I mean, I think I got kicked back like $2,000 or something after that, which was cool at the time. But in fairness, I'm like, you know, these motherfuckers owed us way more than $2,000, you know, for 5 years. Like, it's fucking insane. And I don't think people really know like just how much work is involved. I mean, sometimes we were practicing at 6 a.m. And then you would go to school and then they would make you go to study hall and then you would have to fucking go back to football and watch film. And then they would say, you got to do your weightlifting workout. And by the time it's all done, it's like fucking 8 o'clock at night. And then it's like, you're supposed to have a social life. You're supposed to do homework. You're supposed to like take care of yourself. Yeah. And it just seems impossible a lot of the time.
In retrospect, I saw those athletes at my college going back and forth. And in retrospect, it seems like it's all about control and displacing any negative you would do. It's like if they fill your schedule, you can't think that maybe I don't like football.
Yeah. And then I think a lot of that leads to drug use, to alcoholism.
Well, you got to make it count. When you go party, you got to make it count. And then people are probably doing cocaine because it doesn't test. Okay.
I mean, all kinds of shit. I mean, like, people are using coke. They're fucking snorting Adderall. They're, oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure even some of those homeboys were doing meth. Like, I don't fucking know, you know. A lot of dudes who would love to fucking drink. And I'm not trying to, like, bash any of that. But like, let's be real, like that's happening everywhere. That's happening even at the biggest schools like Georgia and Alabama that just played in the national title, I believe. That shit is rampant everywhere, you know. And I think one thing that people don't talk about, and I don't give a fuck about talking about it, is, from my understanding, the NCAA doesn't even test you for street drugs. So when I would take tests, it was always just for steroids or estrogen blockers and shit like that.
Yeah, indicators.
So it didn't
steroids.
matter what the fuck I was doing, like in terms of like if I was snorting blow or if I was smoking weed. They weren't going to test me for it anyway.
Wow.
So there was no worry there in my 5 years that I was ever going to get in trouble, because like they want sports enhancers. And I would say weed is to some degree, because fuck, like after you go through a long game.
Well,
like,
I was a endurance athlete.
Okay.
From like age 9 to 19, and I never smoked weed as a child. Okay. But I so wish I did, because it's such an enhancer. It would have made me glorious, because it dulls pain. Yeah. Gets you into the zone.
Fuck yeah.
But then critically, it makes you eat at night after practice. And I was always a beanpole, never got stronger, even though I was swimming miles a day.
There is nothing like getting high as fuck and going like and getting the hardest weight lift on you've ever gotten.
Yeah.
And then going home and like not necessarily like being sore until later, but like you just like are in the groove, in the zone.
Yeah. You're so in tune with your body, I think. It brings you out of your head and into your body.
I even like running, you know, when I was stoned. Like we would like maybe a practice might have been like, we're just gonna run, you know, sprints and then do some other calisthenic stuff. And I was like, fuck, let's get high before practice. And then you'd go run and it would feel fucking great. Now I get that, you know, combusting
the lung
flour. Yeah. So I'm trying to do better about just like maybe eating it every once in a while, but it's too finicky. Like
it is.
You know, I make my own edibles, and so it's hard, because even for me, it's like, you eat this little chocolate this time and nothing fucking happened, and then the next time I was fucking on the moon. So it's a little tough with that. And then I like smoking during the day, so I don't like eating it during the day. I get too tired. I get too out of place with myself. But yeah, I think that it is a sports enhancer to some degree. Oh, yeah. But I think if people are using it for like pain relief and stuff from sports, I don't think that should be an issue.
Oh no, I think the NFL got on board with it like years ago, 2 or 3.
I just don't understand it, because I don't know. I don't remember the last time someone did something atrocious and they were like, well, they were high on weed and that's what directed their actions. Now I could certainly understand if you ate too much in the edible game, like, and you were tripping out so driver, bad. Yeah, I get that, but that's such a far removed subject. I think.
I could never imagine opening my car door when I'm that messed up on edibles.
Sure.
Like I can't even get off the couch.
I'm so like, why did this happen? In that moment, I'm not fucking moving. Like I'm gonna be here for 3 hours.
Yeah. Wishing it was like a minute. Sometimes I just go down a black hole. Like that's what it feels like. It feels like one of those overnight dreams.
Yes.
Where you're sinking indefinitely.
Yes. Or you're like you're falling out of a fucking plane.
Yeah, like, exactly. Just falling perpetually for 3 hours.
Yeah, that's fun.
It makes it's a wonder why we continue to do it.
Sure.
What would be your day job if acrylic painting on canvas weren't a thing?
Oof. You know, I like doing just like general labor. I like, you know, there's something about just doing hard work. I'm not, you know, I hate that bullshit about like you gotta work hard, but like hard work in general, sometimes, I don't know, there's something about it that just makes you feel accomplished. Like, I fucking dug that ditch. I put that fucking wall up, or, you know, I had to carry all these pallets from the back to the front, and, you know, it was 800 pounds, and I had to drag it across a fucking, you know, store or whatever. Like, I like some of that. I don't want to sit down and, you know, type on the computer all day. So it would be something physical. Like I used to be a roadside service guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was cool because you were just changing fucking tires all day. So you were just jacking cars up, taking tires off. And I mean, you know, some of those trucks and shit, like those tires are fucking heavy as fuck. So you're taking them down, you're carrying them. So you just like, you almost retain that like strength too a little bit.
It's also like I work at a restaurant carrying things, and you get grip strength that you just can't get in the gym.
Right.
So
right.
I love working with my hands.
Yeah. So I would do something that's physical that would just fucking tire me out every day.
What do you do to get tired out these days?
Well, I used to drum a lot. We talked about that earlier before we started, and more recently, because I was just like caught up in making my art, like the drum set kept getting pushed back and like folded up, and it was like couldn't even fucking use it. But like I try to get 30 minutes to an hour a day, like throw the hoodie on, get nice and sweaty. When it's not fucking cold, I like to work outside. Me and my wife started doing like some gardening stuff, like we're growing vegetables and fruits, and I actually did take up growing some weed last year in my backyard, so that went pretty well.
I want to do that so bad.
I've been doing it in the tents for a while, and I finally was like, I'm gonna, because then they passed the laws that you could, possess and grow, and so I was like, well, fuck it, no one's gonna fuck with me anymore. So I did it, and like I came up with some problems like with bugs and stuff, and I really was trying hard to stay away from pesticides and just using like.
But you're outside; it's sun, soil.
yeah.
Wow.
So it was a little tough, but I learned a lot, and I think that'll transfer over to next year.
But you got a crop.
Yeah,
and it was smokable.
Oh yeah,
it wasn't moldy.
Because now it's been like 4 years. So so my tent game is fucking solid. Now I'm trying to get the outdoor game a little better, but I have a nice like.
You said your tent game?
Yeah, so I make.
Is it hydro or just lights and
it's
soil?
Yeah, lights and soil.
Okay.
It's very simple. I mean, I don't use anything bigger than like a 3-gallon sack. Fill it up. I use like a lot of perlite to make it like super thin in the soil, so that way like the fucking roots can just grow out really far.
Nice.
And then you got to be careful because like 2 of my tents are shorter, so like you have to make sure your strains aren't going to flower up real high.
Sativas
or
go
you could,
tall, right?
or you could force the light on it for a couple of days and it won't stretch as much. And then I have another tent that's like my height, so I can grow a bigger plant. Like I'll get one in there and I'll just like train it to just bush out as much as I fucking can. So it's cool.
It's so fun.
And then like, you got to work on it. Like it's another thing. Like it's a fucking job because you got to cut it, dry it, cure it, trim it, like do all that shit. And people don't realize like months even after you're done harvesting it to
cure it,
to get it the way you want it. Yeah, to taste the right way, because if you're smoking shit like even a couple weeks after, I know it can be problematic because of like the carbon in it or whatever, like something in the leaves that it still retain, like the CO2 that it collects, like so you're trying to let it release that, and so it's a tricky game. I mean, it was a little bit of a struggle those first few months doing it. Yeah. But after that, like it really started taking off. And now I just like, I don't measure anything. I just know, I just feel it. And you just see your plants, like they start to act funny. And you just start understanding like, oh, I gave it too much of this, and that's why those leaves are getting all crispy and shit like that. So
I tried to grow hydro once with like the personal production license years ago, and I had like an iron deficiency or something. It took me forever to triangulate what was going wrong, but like I found this perfect poster with like all the different nutrient deficiencies you could have. Yeah, and I matched it to the pattern on the leaf, and it was a learning experience, but I didn't even get taller than a foot. Before they died. So that's so fun. If you smoke a lot of weed, it's like a lifestyle. Fuck yeah. You're smoking last year's crop while you're tending to this year's?
Really, I'm smoking like winter's crop because I had, because I go through winter. Yeah. So I mean, and then even in the summer, like when I'm doing it outdoors, like I still do it inside too. It's tough because it gets hot as fuck. But I mean, if you have strains, like I have strains now that I've been growing that seem to do fine in the 105-degree weather in Albuquerque, and it also can still grow when it drops to fucking 30 because those tents drop down to like 60 degrees and the plants stress, but they like the few I've been growing, like they still just get through it and they fruit and they flower.
Yeah, it's like biology. It's built into all the genetic code to deal with some stress. If you have no stress, it's probably unnatural. Sure. That's why hydro's a little creepy. Yeah. It's like, it's almost like...
I think soil's easier too.
Soil's easier?
Because you can amend, you can change. I think with the hydro, because the roots are exposed that way and you're like injecting fertilizer and you have to make sure like the...
Solution.
Yeah, like it's right at the right pH and everything. Like I think there's a lot more you could... have issues with, whereas with soil it's like, I'm a little off on the pH, but it'll start to balance itself out.
Well, the roots go to where the soil is appropriate.
Yeah So it's different. but it's another like love of mine that I don't talk about very much. So
I hope it becomes a love of mine. I'm gonna get into fishing this year.
Okay,
and eating the fish I catch.
That'll be cool.
And then once I own a house somewhere,
Yeah,
I'll grow oodles of weed.
hell yeah.
So you've been here all your life.
Yeah.
In New Mexico. What's your
Yeah.
favorite myth or legend about the state or about Shiprock, the region you grew up in?
Oh, I've always liked and I don't know, this isn't like a completely New Mexican idea, but the like skinwalker kind of myths, I think, amongst Native Americans.
Well, I've heard about this because I went on like a community service trip in college to the Navajo Nation, and we were briefed not to joke about skinwalkers.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So it's not a joke to you. What is it?
I don't know. I've never encountered anything like that, but I do have an uncle who was driving with a cousin out in Shiprock, and they hit a coyote and like just caught it maybe just barely on the back legs, and they saw it kind of walking down towards like the wooded area, and so they pulled over to go check on it. And as they kind of like see a little bit of blood, they get closer, and like sure enough, just like naked native dude, like kind of in a shawl, just like rubbing his arms off. And they was like, ah, fuck that, and they just got the hell out of there. So I don't know, I don't know if that kind of like dark magic is real out there, but I know that I've heard stories in the past about even like satanic ritual stuff, like a lot of occult type things.
So you think these people are real?
They could be. It's fascinating.
It is.
I think it'd be cool, but I think it's always tied to like a negative thought, and I don't think that's always the case.
Is it supposed to scare you to stay inside at night, or what is it? Just to make the outdoors mystical?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I think the thought might be that like you're practicing like an ancient Indian magic that you're not supposed to be doing.
That's what skinwalkers do.
Maybe, yeah.
I see. So it's like the forbidden magic.
Right. Like if there's like white and black magic, like you're doing black magic and you shouldn't be fucking with that. Like you're using evil spirits to invoke that power, maybe.
Yes.
And I could be talking out of my ass, but that's how I feel about it.
Oh, it's
like,
archetypal. It's
sure.
resonating with me.
I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about it in a way that's like, oh yeah, that skinwalker idea is fucking cool. Like, no, it's never been in that kind of light when I've dealt with it. Now, certainly like outside the Native American realm, people talk about like werewolves and shit like that, like transforming, and that's kind of cool, I guess.
So you rubbed your arms. You said the guy was rubbing his arms. So is
like
that where the
like
skin
fur off? Like he was like rubbing like fur off, and then like you could just see his skin. Was how it was described to me. Wow. So would probably scare the shit out of me. So
go check out Brett's art at _Sokwa on Instagram.
Yes.
Right now.
Fuck yeah.
Browse it while we go to the clay pot. There's a collection of fan questions.
Okay.
But I have a brand new one from...
How did you acquire these fan questions?
I wrote most of them. So you've heard that?
Yes. I was wondering.
But we have about 10 in there.
Okay.
And we have a new one for today that are written from actual fans. At Felix Violins on Instagram asks you, what's your favorite food?
Whew. I love rice. Anything with fucking rice, like Chinese food, Mexican food with their style of rice, like just that grain for whatever reason.
The texture.
Yeah.
So you'll do all flavors of rice.
Yes. Fuck. And then like if there's a good like vegetable in there or two, a solid protein, like fuck, like that'll fuck my day up. But I also like
your paleo plus carbs. Yeah, that's one of my jokes on stage. So, so carb matters to you. Like athletes have to eat carbs.
I mean, I fucking shouldn't be eating it now. But no, I love it. Yeah, rice is my fucking jam. Chinese food probably too, in that regard. Like Americanized fast food Chinese for sure. But rice is the fucking guy. Like that's it. That's
do you own a rice cooker?
Yes, we do.
So you do believe that's the best way to cook rice?
Yeah, or pressure cook it or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, you have a pressure.
That's what we do. Yeah. We used to have a rice cooker.
So instead of like 35 minutes, that's coming out how fast?
14 minutes or something like that.
So
but it's nice because you can just leave it, and then like you can let the pressure out, throw your fucking butter and salt and whatever in there, mix it up, and then as you're still cooking your shit, like it's still just kind of letting the butter mix with everything, and then like the bottom of that pan gets so hot in there that it even like kind of like crisps up those like bottom
Mm-hmm.
rice, and you fucking get that on there too. And you have a little bit of crisp to
Yeah,
your like,
yeah.
you know. So it's a texture thing.
I use a rice cooker,
Yeah.
and it's always a little bit of a bummer when I've added too much water.
Sure.
So it comes out like a mealy apple, basically, like
Yeah.
a mush.
Yeah, and I still get off a little bit where like, yeah, like the rice is too, it's all sticking too much together, and it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
mashed potatoes, and
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
into
yeah.
like, I like it to be like it's kind of falling from
There's
each
a
other.
perfect. It's clumping,
Yeah.
probably like actual cocaine. I've been
Sure.
researching drugs a lot. I'm a crime writer,
Okay,
but
that's
it has to like flake off, you know, or it's not real. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they're saying baking soda. Baking soda has that phenomenon where it's clumpy.
okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't been researching hard enough. We'll do another fan question.
Sure.
Do a few of these. See what we get. Have you ever been to jail?
No, I haven't. I've had one run-in with the sheriffs of Albuquerque. It was on Thanksgiving, and it was like really terrifying. I was driving on Paseo or something, and like I had just smoked some weed in my car. I was-
In the car.
yeah,
So
in
it
the
smelled.
car, yes. And I had my grinder and everything in there, and I was speeding on Paseo, and you know, I saw the fucking car, and I was like, "Is that a cop?" I just kept going, and I got fucking lights lit up, and I pulled over, and I was fucking scared. Like I was like, "I'm going to jail on fucking Thanksgiving." Like this was 4 or 5 years ago. Not a good time in my life. I wasn't particularly being a very good person, but and actually it was probably longer than that now. Now that I think, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. But he pulls me over, and like, if I can smell it on my fucking breath, like this motherfucker can smell it in my car. So I open the windows, and he's just like, "Have you been smoking weed?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I fucking took a hit earlier." And he's like, "Well, what do you have in here?" And I'm like, "Well, I have a fucking pipe and a grinder." So like, he took my pipe and just like chucked that fucker like over the median, and it was gone. I'm like, okay. And then he took my grinder and just like opened it up, dumped it out on the ground, like went back to his car, and I'm just like sitting there sweating bullets. And then he comes back, and he like gives me a speeding ticket, and just fucking lets me go.
That grinder throws, or the pipe
pipe?
throws amazing.
Oh,
Did you know
fuck.
that you were doing fine once you threw the pipe, or were you like so confused?
Oh, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I
Yeah.
was just like, and then yeah, I mean, like I said, like he dropped the weed in the grinder on the fucking ground, and I think, you know, again, I don't want to paint bad names for places I was at, but I was at the Family Advocacy Center at the time, and I had my work badge hanging down, and so he goes, because they have, you know, police officers in that building, and he goes, "You work with our people?" And I'm just like, "Oh fuck!" I'm like, "Yeah." So I don't know if he called somebody and was like, "Is this your guy?" Like he was smoking, so I got really lucky, and that's really been, I think, the only time I've had altercation with police officers. I mean, I've been through a few checkpoints, you know, but yeah, I've never been in a position where the police had to be involved. I mean, when I was younger, like a teenager, I got caught a few times, like sleeping in cars, like with girls, and you know, they'd fucking knock on your window and be like, "Hey, get the fuck out," and then.
But never been processed in jail.
Yeah.
That's a big.
Yeah.
I guess NCAA really helped you out by overscheduling you.
Yeah. No, I think it did help me out a lot.
Next fan question: story of your first kiss.
I think I was in second grade. It was with this girl named Chelsea. We took a trip to our school took a trip to the observatory in Albuquerque. And I remember she liked me a lot. Like she would like try to hold my hand in school and shit. And of course, like I didn't know the fuck was going on. Like I was stupid, like, you know, I don't even know how old I would have been then. 6 or 7, yeah, maybe 8, yeah. Like no regard to like girls at whatever, you know, like that's not an interest to me. And so I remember we went to the observatory, we were sitting down, and then like it just gets like pitch black, and like I feel her holding my hand, like she puts it on top, and like by the end of it, she's just like, "Are you gonna kiss me?" And I was just like, "What?"
That's wild.
So she like leaned in, and we just kind of like touched lips, and that was it. That was my first like kiss as a person,
That's
other than like my
wild.
parents.
I mean, wow.
And then I don't think I got another kiss until I was maybe a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
So
And that would be the official first kiss.
yeah, probably
The one where both people knew exactly what was going on.
yeah, absolutely.
Let's do one more fan question
Okay.
before we say goodbye to everybody. Last fan question for Sokwa. Do you share your Netflix password or are you sharing someone else's?
No. That shit is locked down.
Yeah, so
because we only pay for the one screen or whatever. So like, yeah, you gotta keep that within family.
Well, that's lovely. So you're not on the family plan where your kids can be like neglected and watching their own thing in another room.
No,
you all have to watch at the same time.
You know, my son will watch like YouTube videos.
Yeah.
He's like super fascinated into construction, so he watches construction videos of like trucks fucking digging shit up and all this stuff. Yeah. So there's no worry there. And then my daughter's like really into anime right now, so I know some of it she's probably watching on like streaming sites that are just free or whatever, because ours don't necessarily have those shows. But yeah, no, it's one TV right there. We all watch several shows together, and then that's it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What's the number one way that my audience can go help you out right now?
Right now, just give me those follows and those likes. I think it goes a long way.
Yeah, it's algorithmic.
Because, I took a class actually about how some of that works, and I mean, from what I understood, it was like 10% of 100. So like every 100 people are following you, you might get 10 likes out of that post. You got 1,000, you're getting 100. Like, and it seems pretty on par for that, because I have less than 1,000. And most of my posts average about like 60 to 70.
You're doing great. Because I've heard 5%. So 10 would be rosy. 5 is like, if you're below 5, you're just, you're trash.
Yeah. So I'm getting there. And I try not to have any lapse in like days that I'm making, like not even like posts, but like if I do a story real quick, whatever, like I try to at least be there. Because like I said, I don't want to share everything. Yeah. I want to keep some of it a secret, or like that moment where you see that piece and like I can tell you like I didn't share that with anybody. Okay. So I think that's cool. But yeah, any type of social media help. And frankly, if you need commissions, like I'm open right now. It's open season until markets in April and May. So
people can check out the work you have photographed, and if they want something totally unique, which is your wheelhouse,
like this is the time.
DM.
Because like markets are down, and frankly, if you're sitting on some of that Christmas money, I can make you some cool shit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
And being the first video guest of Artists with Brian ever.
It was a blast. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Brett. Peace out. Wow. I can't believe it.